Stefano, here we are again. We talked about your recipe for my space lunch.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about your proposal for my dinner on the International Space Station. And here I have the ingredients.
Okay.
We have mackerel, we have dried tomatoes, we have quinoa, and we have leeks cream. And I understand you have selected ingredients with the thought in mind that you have dinner before you eventually go to bed, and so it's very important to have a meal that is easily digested.
Yes, of course.
And plus, of course, all those ingredients have very interesting properties that we will talk about shortly.
Let's start, Samantha, with our quinoa.
Okay, yeah.
We have to wash it.
Just like any whole grain cereal that we talked about.
Perfect.
We want to soak it in water, let the debris and the dirt float and make sure that we get rid of that.
Okay. And you remember quinoa?
Yes, and I'm a big fan of quinoa. I like it very much. But I also know that it has very interesting properties. So first of all, it doesn't contain any gluten. It's not a proper cereal in that sense. Just like millet or amaranth is really good for any person who has some kind of gluten intolerance, or for people like me who just like it a lot. Just like millet and amaranth, you can cook it very quickly. It only takes about 15 minutes, as you taught me. And it's a really good source of protein. Even if it's a grain, it's actually a really, really good source of
All right.
protein.
The second ingredient of our recipe is mackerel. Also, mackerel contains a lot of proteins, and especially fat, but good fat.
The famous omega-3, right?
Oh, okay, right.
With,
Okay.
great properties against inflammation, for example.
Against inflammation, and also ginger.
Ginger root.
Ginger roots. It's also a very good ingredient. We use it for give more flavor of our mackerel. The third ingredient is tomato, dried tomato. And you know that dried tomato contains
Lycopene.
lycopene. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
And you told me that it's actually really important to cook tomatoes a little bit to make that lycopene better available for the body. Which is, by the way, you told me also the case for carrots, right?
Perfect.
So if we have fresh carrots, of course, are great. I love them very much. But I have learned from you that the best way to absorb the beta-carotene in the carrot is actually to cook them a little bit, not too much, and then add some source of fat. The best thing, of course, is extra virgin olive oil. And then we have the best absorption of this really important micronutrient, which is beta-carotene.
Perfect. The last ingredient of our recipe is leek. We will make a leek cream.
All right.
Okay. And also, you remember, also leeks.
It has also very strong anti-inflammatory properties.
Perfect.
All right.
Let's continue and let's start to prepare our ingredients. So, we cut the dried tomatoes. Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
We take the mackerel and we add some flavor, in this case thyme, and as you prefer you can add
Herbs to your liking, right?
Herbs in general.
Yeah,
okay.
that's great.
And our ginger, we cut it in a thin way. Okay. We add some gomeggio. Okay. You know why we use gomeggio.
Right, because it's a very good substitute for salt. Gives a really good flavor without all the noxious properties of salt. And I think this one even has some algae in it.
Yeah.
So it gives it a little bit of this iodine flavor, or I call it the sea flavor.
Perfect.
goes really well with the mackerel.
All right. And we add just
a little bit
of
olive oil.
Of oil. Okay. So the ingredients are ready. We go to cooking. We cook now with two parts of water and 1 part of quinoa
Absolutely.
for 15
so
minutes.
1 cup of quinoa, 2 cups of water.
Okay,
Perfect. And then we always start with cold water,
Yes.
bring it to a boil, and then we let it cook at a low-medium heat for the time it takes. And I'm really impressed because you optimize the cooking procedure even better for this dinner.
Yeah.
We are going to use only 1 pot, and then we're going to use the steam of the cooking water of the quinoa with our steaming basket. By using both layers,
Okay.
we'll be able to find place both for the mackerel and for our tomatoes and for our leek.
Perfect. You remember that
And so, if I understand correctly, it takes about 15 minutes for the quinoa to be ready, and in just about the same time, we will have steamed our leek, our tomatoes, and our mackerel.
all right, perfect.
All right. When 15 minutes have passed, we can open the steaming basket, make sure that our ingredients are cooked. So the last thing that is missing is to take out our leek, put it in a proper container, and then we just add a little bit of water, a hint of gomejo to give it some flavor, a tiny bit of olive oil, and then we blend it into a smooth cream.
Okay, Samantha, our ingredients are ready.
Okay,
Okay,
time to put our plate together.
perfect.
So we'll take some quinoa and put it in a container and add a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of our gomejo, and then we add our sun-dried tomatoes. And then we mix it nicely. And then we make a nice bed on the plate with our leek cream. And then we can gently put our quinoa mixed with tomatoes on our cream bed. And then on top, let's put our mackerel. Stefano, it looks very inviting, very beautiful. So now I guess it's up to me to try and do such a beautiful meal on the space station with the ingredients that you have prepared for me.
Okay,
I'll do my best.
thank you.